Welcome everyone to this session of Change Now. Over the next hour, we will be talking about our water future. First of all, a few introduction about myself. I will be the moderator for this session, walking through the different interventions. I am managing director of BCG. I work with mostly corporate clients around designing and delivering sustainability initiatives and roadmaps. But today I will not speak. I will let our excellent speakers coming on stage and talk about the water future. Why is it critical to have today a session around water? Well, you see it here on stage. I don't know if there is a camera. We should have really something zooming on it. The water you have on stage, 10 years from now, it may become a luxury product. Why am I saying that? First of all, for a quantity issue. By 2030, the water needs, agriculture, industry, drinking, washing ourselves, will overcome by 40% the supply. We will have a shortage of water, all things equal. It's also going to be a luxury good because I hope this is clean water. We will be drinking it. In Europe, nowadays, if you think about the surface water, less than 30%, I think 29 is the exact number, is considered as good chemical status. If you see the other way around, it means that 71% of the surface water you see, you drink, you bathe in, is not good chemical status, polluted. So we have a quantity issue, we have a quality issue. And the issue is not 2030, 2040, 2050, 2024, talking about the past. Over the planet, half of the population, 4 billion of people, basically experienced water restrictions in the usage for more than 1 month over the year. So I could talk about 2030, but already water scarcity is a topic today. To walk you through this topic, so I was the one bringing the bad news. The next speakers will bring and talk about the solutions, real and concrete. And the first speaker that will join me on stage, Florent, in a few seconds, will deliver a keynote on his activities. And we wanted to start with him also to make sure that we start from the ground. And the communities that are impacted by water shortage and the communities that are at the core of implementing solutions on the ground. And then throughout the session, we will have on stage also people from social society, politics, and corporate to see how together we tackle the topics. Please welcome Florent.
Merci. Hello. So, first things first, water.
You can sit here.
I think I prefer to stand for a while.
You stand, great.
Yes.
Let me maybe first introduce very quickly Florent, and then I will leave him the floor to share with you all the amazing things that he's doing. So Florent is the CEO, you can read it, of Global Forest Generation. He is also the co-founder of Andine Action. You will, the accent was terrible, but you will tell us more about this initiative. You earned in 2023 the Prince William Earth Shot Prize in the category Protect and Restore Nature. And basically, throughout your activities, you have developed some of the biggest and most amazing and impactful initiatives on the ground to restore the ecosystem, putting together ancient wisdom and scientific solutions and progress. So it's already a very nice mix, but you also do that by empowering local communities to act upon the water topic. I'll let you share with us, maybe in 15 minutes, your perspective on the topic and some of the concrete solutions you put in place. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Francesco. Thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for Change Now for providing such an amazing venue. This is very inspiring to be at the Grand Palais. I will not have a technical presentation. I'll skip that part. I want to start with a reflection, a personal reflection. I think many of us will kind of come together into that one. My generation, we grew up shaped by the doom and gloom of a climate crisis. Burning forests and melting glaciers and hurricanes coming, water scarcity. The world is ending. We have 20 years to fix it, 10 years to fix it, 5 years to fix it. What does it do to us psychologically? No wonder so many people feel lost. No wonder so many young people feel lost of purpose, when they grow up in a world that we are telling them it is ending. I also grew up in a generation that started asking itself, what if this isn't the end at all? What if we have the opportunity to turn things around? What if we can come together across entire regions and continents to do something about it? Fast forward 20 years, and I'm standing in the Andes in South America, high up in the mountains. So what is happening in the Andes? Forgot to start. What is happening in the Andes? Glaciers are melting. We said goodbye to the last Venezuelan glacier 2 years ago. Colombia is next. Now the glaciers are not just stunning beauty. The glaciers hold the water. We call them the water towers of South America. They are providing water on to the eastern side of the Andes, into the Amazon rainforest, the lungs of the earth, the mighty Amazon rainforest we all care about. They're an intrinsic part of that system. And to the west, they are providing water for hundreds of millions of people across South America. Quito, Lima, where I live in Peru, Bogota, Santiago de Chile, they're all depending on this water. Fortunately, nature is very smart. It's very wise. There's another source of water. High Andean forest and ecosystems at the very top of the Andes, from altitudes from 3,500 to 5,500 meters. In particular, one very specific forest type, the highest forest in the world, called polylepis forest. You can see it's coming straight out of Lord of the Ring movie. It's crooked trees, it's impenetrable forests, but they have a magic trick. These forests have the capacity to grow, these trees have the capacity to grow moss on their branches. That moss captures humidity from the air, it condenses into water. The moss then drops on the soil, it's becoming heavy. In over decades and centuries, these become huge organic layers, like sponges, that have the ability to store huge amounts of carbon. Some of the biggest carbon reservoirs in the world are in the high Andes. And on the other hand, they become the water reservoirs. They are holding the water high up in the mountains. Now, there's always bad news somewhere. We heard the glaciers are melting. By 2050, 70% of those glaciers are supposed to be gone. These forests and ecosystems have been decimated. Over the last 500 years, mostly following the Spanish conquest, we lost 95% of these forests. 95%. Doom and gloom. What do we do about it? In 2018, I met an amazing human being, Tino. Tino is an indigenous leader from the high Andes of Peru, in Cusco. He's a great friend. He's a strong descendant of the Inca culture. Tino invited me to come to a reforestation day. That changed my life. The reforestation day I attended, all of a sudden you had over 1,000 people joining from everywhere, bringing their kids, the elders, and thousands of saplings. That day, we planted over 100,000 trees. And I asked Tino, this is amazing. I see scale, I see so much potential. What's the magic trick here? And Tino said, well, I've understood two things in the last 30 years of his amazing work. One, forest can be brought back through reforestation, to forest conservation, to restoration techniques. this is a technical solution. It works, right? And the communities are actually motivated to do that. They are the first one to suffer from water insecurity, missed crops. No? The second thing that Tino understood is much more important. He understood that he could revive the ancestral principles of the people of the high Andes, very deeply ingrained in their culture, to unite masses of people for the common good. These two principles are Aini and Minka. Aini, a Quechua word, is the sacred reciprocity between one another and between the people and the spirits and Mother Earth. The second principle is called Minka, and Minka is the collective service for the common good. These principles are not just an altruistic sort of greater motive. They are fundamental ways of organizing people and societies. Tino recognized we could revive those that are still present in indigenous and ancestral communities in the Andes to bring together the people. So we got to work. That day, we founded Global Forest Generation, the organization I lead, to support people like Tino in their quest. And we founded Acción Andina. Acción Andina is a continental scale movement of people leading the restoration and the protection of high Andean forest ecosystem for water security. These forests that we are bringing back have direct benefits on water. So we started in 2018. We started with a few dozen communities. Today, 6 years on, we have over 40,000 people that have joined the movement on the ground. There's over 200 communities that have joined. We have planted 12 million trees so far and protected tens of thousands of hectares of forest. But, not clapping yet, restoring a patch of forest is relatively easy. You're all invited to come to the Andes and plant trees. Restoring water security for an entire continent spanning 9,000 kilometers from north to south is multiple orders of magnitude more difficult. What does it take? First and foremost, this is my most important message, I think. There is no such solution that doesn't fundamentally embed at the center the leadership by the local communities. We're all working on amazing solutions. If we don't get that right, that the communities that live in those lands and have been living in those lands for hundreds and thousands of years and will continue to do so, if we don't have solutions that are really transformatively embedding them at the core of these solutions, it won't work. Second, communities alone will go very far. But to restore an entire continent's worth of water security, no way. This must be a continental scale movement from every sector. We need the communities to lead the work with the practical solution of bringing back the trees and protecting the forests, yes. But we also need all the rest, the private sector. The private sector, something unique is happening right now in the Andes. It used to be, oh yes, you're restoring forests somewhere up there, great. Water insecurity is becoming a material risk to businesses for their operations. Change now. That's an entire mindset change. These companies are now reaching out to us. Okay, you're doing the work that we should be doing. How do we work together? Now, our task here, how do we make that middle layer work? How do we translate private sector investment into direct community-led action? It's not easy. Second, the public sector. Forgot to say one important thing. Last year, 2024, Ecuador had one of the worst political crises Why? There was a drought, unprecedented drought in Ecuador. A farmer that I was with in Ecuador said, 10 years ago, we had unlimited water for irrigation of our crops. 10 years on, today, last year, we have 2 hours per family per week. That's not problematic, that's a breaking point. Agriculture is no longer possible. Well, because there was no water, the hydroelectric dams or companies that was generating the electricity for the country stalled. It stopped. There was not enough water in those dams, on those lakes. When the energy stalls for a country, power outages, 12 hours a day. It froze the economy. And what happens when the economy freezes? Crime surged, plunging Ecuador in one of the worst economic political crises in the last decades. Water is not just something we drink. It is a matter of national security. The government has to lead. The government has to show how do we move investments and create the policy environment and everything else to invest in those communities, to invest in those ecosystems, to the very stewards of the critical lifeline of the entire continent and its economies. And last but not least, time. Remember, 10 years, 5 years, the world is ending. Well, guess what? It's not. One way or the other, some of us will still be around. It takes time. Mother Nature takes time to restore, to heal, to repair. And it needs to be as such. On our end, we can conceptualize some of our solutions to respond to that time. There's both practical implications. We need to conceptualize a project like this. Acción Andina we see today as a 100-year effort. Not as a work that we do within the next political period or in the next quarterly profit sheet on a, we need to think long term. And second, this has to be conceptualized as a multi-generational effort. Most of the leaders on the ground that will be doing the work that we have started today are not even born yet. We need to get that right. We need to think long term again. Unlikely allies, you might have seen it. When you start that journey and it's proving to work, people are joining in. We have companies joining, we have the government starting to say, something is going on there. Last year, in Ecuador, in that political crisis, we had the military knocking on our doors. The military. Well, guess what? Water security affects them and the population. They came and said, we want to plant trees. That's the way we get the water back. We had thousands of soldiers coming with the communities, and together we planted even more trees. And last but not least, I'll come to an end shortly. This work of truly understanding how to work with local community by tapping in the ancestral wisdom that have been there around for thousands of years and merging it with modern solutions, with modern ingenuity to support one another. It is simple as a practice. We just need to get a little uncomfortable and start listening to people, especially local communities. We create all sorts of perfect solutions that never work on the ground. We have to turn this around. So let's practice the practice of merging ancestral principle with modern ingenuity. And guess what? Aini and Minka, Tino's dream, it's not just in the Andes. These ancestral principles are at home in every culture, in every continent on the earth. You have Ubuntu in a special part in Africa. You have, yesterday we heard it in a session around the Amazon, Mochiriao in Brazil. You have those ancestral principles. I just came back from India a few weeks ago, where they have a very similar challenge with the melting glaciers, water security. India, some of the eldest, most ancestral culture and heritage that there is. There is a starting point here. Now, in my very last comment, remember the question at the beginning: how do we come together across entire regions and across entire continents to do something about it, to restore what's been lost, to learn how to care for one another, and to care for the planet that is so generously hosting us? Engaging in that work gives us a purpose, and it gives especially a purpose to a lot of people who feel lost. There's nothing more satisfying in a day-to-day to contribute to the restoration of the planet and healing Earth. So to a lot of the generation that feel lost, and to our dear actors in the space that promote division stronger than any time before, I feel they have a case, and that's because we all feel lost. We need to get back to that collective, worldwide purpose of healing the planet over the centuries to come. That will drive us, and that will be stronger to the divisive power of the people that want to separate us. Thank you.